those two parts. Okay, so what are my two totals in this situation? Table 1, can you tell me? The two totals.
10 and 15.
Okay, good. Not the 6, not the 7. We want things that represent totals, like total hours he worked or total money he needs. Then that makes it easier to see what could have contributed to that. Let's start with the 53 because that one's a dollar amount. Dollar amounts you should keep with dollar amounts. So what should go on the other side of the equals 53?
16 plus 7.
6t plus 7n. Anyone disagree with that? So we're saying t is what, table 2?
Trash.
So like the number of trashes cleaned. Because we actually do know the cost that he's getting paid, the price that he's getting paid, so that's not the unknown. And then table 3, what's the M? So number of lawns mowed. And that would get you alone 5 points on the test, even if you make the equations wrong. If you tell me what your variables represent and it's what it should represent, then good. Automatic 5 points. But yeah, you put a plus sign in between because combined, that'll give you the total amount he earns. Now for the total amount of hours, so I guess maybe it's not number of, I should have revised that. What should it actually be? Because it's not, he's getting paid $6 per trash cleaned, he's getting paid $6 per what? So really T should be hours spent doing the trash. And then N should be hours spent mowing lawns. Sorry. That would make no sense. So in that case, what should go on the other side of the 10, table 3? T plus M, because if that's what we're saying that the variables represent, that the hours spent doing this and that, then you just have to add those up to give you your total hours work. Make sense? So then blue, that's why blue is red. You definitely didn't want to pick green because it doesn't have the right totals. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, so then let's make that accuracy a bit better. So we have 2 adult tickets, 4 child tickets cost $28, 5 adult tickets, and 3 child tickets cost $49. Write a system so that we can figure out the cost. So better accuracy, now only 2 people got it wrong, and that we'll see why they might have clicked the wrong one. But 2 totals in this one are what? 28 and 49. It's a system, so I should have 2 And it's a system of equations, two equal signs, two separate totals. And then on the left, I should be writing what contributes to that total. They use A's and C's. I'm gonna change it to X's and Y's, because I do actually want you guys to practice, now how to graph by hand for this one. We use this one as an example. So what would go on the left side of the 28? Okay, good. I'm just gonna make that X's and Y's because we're gonna practice graphing by hand right now. And then what should go on the other side of the 49, table 4? Okay, good. And then I'm just swapping out the A's with X's, the C's with Y's. Because I am gonna now use this example for us to practice the graphing by hand. So if I were to graph by hand, so not just typing it into Desmos and copying what we see, because I see so many students get it wrong when they try and do that. What would be the first step in graphing by hand? Could I just graph it the way it looks right now? So you have to make it slope intercept form, which is what formula? And technically, there is a way that you could still graph from this form, but it's not very common that I see students do it, and it doesn't really help all the time. But converting it to y equals mx plus b is your best bet. What's alone in y equals mx plus b? The y. So if I can isolate the y in each equation, get it into slope intercept form, then I could actually graph it from there. So let's focus on the first one. What's farther from the y, the 4 or the 2x? So we have to get rid of that first. What's opposite, or how do I cancel the 2x? And whatever you do on one side, I get 4y equals. Are these like terms on the right side? So don't try to combine them and make them like 26x or something like that. One has a variable, the other one does not. So really you could just write 28 minus 2x. I'm gonna put the negative 2x first. And the positive 28 second, just so that it looks more like mx plus b. It's just a preference. As long as you know what would be your slope and what would be your y-intercept, that's really all that. But we're not done because y is not alone. What's opposite of multiplying by 4? Dividing by 4. And we're gonna do that on both sides of the equal sign. And don't forget, you have to do it to this entire other side. So really, that's why I like writing it like this. So that I remember to divide 4 from each term. But that gets the y alone. What does the negative 2 over 4 simplify to? Negative 1/2, good, because it's allowed to be a fraction. In fact, it's pretty helpful if it's a fraction to rise over run. But it just has to be simplified. So negative 1/2 x, and then what's 28 divided by 4? 7. Now that is something that I could easily graph by hand. Because now that it's in slope intercept form, I can see the two things that I really need in order to graph it by hand. So after making it slope intercept form, what would you do? What would you plot first on your graph? You plot your y-intercept. So if this is my thing that I was graphing, I would put a dot where the y-axis is 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I put a dot here. And then how do I know where my next dot goes? You use your rise over run, your slope. You use your rise over run, your slope, to plot next points. And then that'll help you make the most straight line possible versus just, because all the time when people try to copy it from Desmos, They just plot their y-intercept and then just draw a random line. All right, doesn't even line up to the answer. But this is how you can make it line up to the answer. I go from my y-intercept, I use my rise, which is negative, which means I need to go up or down. I'm going down 1 to the right 2. So I need this big mark. This direction. We're going down 1 to the right 2. Sorry, that should be more this way. Down 1 to the right 2. Until I can make a straight enough line. And then normally I have to graph the other one, but we'll save the time. I just wanted you to review the steps for graphing my hand. So questions on that? All right. Run is always to the right, by the way. Only the rise gets affected by negatives. Next question. Remember, take notes as we go. So 3 freshman tickets, 5 junior tickets cost $54, 6 freshman tickets and 2 junior tickets cost $60. Which one best represents the business? Okay, so 100% accuracy, assuming everyone's participating. I didn't count how many people we have today, but you guys are completely accurate. I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time going over it. Questions on it? Okay. These next ones do get a little bit different, so we'll see how you take the next ones. But these do help you with your online portion, I think so. Sum of 2 numbers is -13. Second number is 4 more than 16 times the first number. We're writing to represent the situation. So still use the same methods that I taught you. What do I usually say is helpful to identify first? Oh, the total. What are my 2 totals in this one? -13 and x. So is usually implies equal sign in math. So like the sum of 2 numbers is -13. This one over here, when I first looked at it, I thought my other total was going to be 4, but really it says the second number is, and then something that would be an expression. So really it should be your 2 totals, -13 and s. Then see what contributes to each. So what contributes to the -13 is the sum of 2 numbers. Sum tells you to do what? And then do we know what those 2 numbers are? No, so that's why we labeled them with variables. Looks like they're using F and S, so first number plus second number. And that's really it for the first one. Sum of 2 numbers, we don't know what they are, is -13. Second number is for more than, what does more than tell us to do? Add. So I'm going to do 4 plus 16 times, what does times tell us to do? And we're timesing the first number, which we labeled as F. So something to that effect. I do think that they should have put an F right here, like you can't just randomly switch the variables. But if you look at all the other answer options, this one is the best one. Like that. Questions on that? And then you could choose whatever method you would want to solve. The way that this would be set up, I'd probably solve it by, substitution, because the S is already alone. But that's a you decision when you get to that on your test. Questions on that? Okay, this may or may not be our last one. Still don't leave until I check your paper. I'm just checking the notes. All right, perimeter of a rectangle is 24 inches. The length is 3 times the width. What would the length be and what would the width be? As I explain this one, can you guys flip to the side with more writing, just so I can kind of glance and just take mental notes, which you give it for the notes and all that. But for this one, you would have to know what perimeter means. So how can I find perimeter of any shape?
Add up all the sides.
Add up all the sides. How many sides does the rectangle have? Are all the sides the same length?
No, no.
Only the ones that face each other are the same length. So that's why we often use this formula for perimeter of a rectangle, which is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. And in this one, it does tell us the perimeter is 24, so I would erase P into the 24. But that could have been one of your equations in your system. The other one comes from what's next. It says the length is, so the length equals 3 times the width. So 3 multiplied by the width. In that case, use whatever method you want to solve. If it were me, and I didn't have a graphing calculator handy, I would just use substitution. And it would look something like this. When all I did was take the L for what L equals, which is 3W. And then start simplifying. What's 2 times 3W? And 6W plus 2W? 8W is equal to 24. Opposite of multiplying 8 is 1. And then W equals what? 3. And there's only one answer option that has the width is 3. And then normally you'd have to plug that back in and solve for L. So 3 times 3 would be 9. That's how green is the right answer. I'll jot down who won and I'll ask you tomorrow what you want for your guide, but it's time to go. So make sure you do your study guide, make sure you do your binder, like get it ready tonight, have it ready by the time you walk in tomorrow. So that all you have to do is your study guides. I checked and took mental notes of who got points for the Kahoot or not.